you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children, or your partner, or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, joiner or loner, you are welcome here. Feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest, you are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfoot, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of the Helena Valley began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked here before us. We honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. We strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. And now's the time that we start the service with any announcements that were not in the weekly announcements and pertain to the coming week. Anybody?
There's book group on Tuesday at 6:30 at 18 South Harrison.
Okay, that's a little confusing because Jessica told me to remove book group from the announcements. So if you've read the book and you're interested, please contact Jessica and Katie to figure out what the plan is. I don't know what it is. Katie.
Well, Jessica's email, not to extend the discussion, said that it was postponed for a month because not enough people could come.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But if, Katie, if you want to pursue that, go for it.
Never mind, go for it.
Okay, now we're going to do our chalice lighting, and Agnes and Harrison are going to come up and do it together as we read number 425, which is in your order of service, together. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together. And now, please, pick up your Singing the Living Tradition hymnal, and we will sing together Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, number 361. Stand as you are willing and able.
Don't be afraid of some change. Today will
And now Cynthia Worcester is going to read the story for all ages, and kids can choose to either come up to the front of the sanctuary or remain in their seats if they're more comfortable.
The day crayons quit. You gonna hold it for me? Okay. Right. Okay, I gotta be able to see. All right. Okay. This shouldn't be so complicated. One day in class, Duncan went to take out his crayons and found a stack of letters with his name on them. To Duncan. Anybody see?
Ooh,
No, we're not doing commentary. Hey Duncan, it's me, Red Crayon. I want to talk. You make me work harder than any of the other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring red fire engines and apples and strawberries and everything else that's red. I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas at Christmas and all the hearts at Valentine's Day. I need a rest. Your overworked friend, Red Crayon. See that? Dear Duncan, all right, listen. I love that I'm your favorite crayon for grapes and dragons and wizard hats, but it makes me crazy that so much of my gorgeous color goes outside the lines. If you don't start coloring inside the lines soon, I'm going to completely lose it. Your very neat friend, Purple Crayon.
he's gonna go insane.
This one's sad. Dear Duncan, I'm tired of being called light brown or dark tan because I am neither. I am beige. I am proud. I'm also tired of being second place to Mr. Brown Crayon. It's not fair because that brown gets all the bears and the ponies and puppies, while the only thing I get are turkey dinners, if I'm lucky, and wheat. And let's be honest, when was the last time you saw a kid excited about coloring wheat? Your beige friend. Your beige friend. Beige Crayon.
Never.
Never.
I'm never excited about coloring wheat.
No commentary.
Sorry.
Duncan, Gray Crayon here. You're killing me. I know you love elephants, and I know that elephants are gray, and that's a lot of space to color all by myself. And don't even get me started on your rhinos, your hippos, and your humpback whales. You know how tired I am after handling all of those things? Such big animals! Baby penguins are also gray, you know. So are little tiny rocks, pebbles. How about one of those once in a while to give me a break? Your very tired friend, Gray Crayon. See all those? Look at all that.
Gray crayon.
And this one is white. Dear Duncan, you color with me, but why? Most of the time, I'm the same color as the page you're using me on, white. If I don't have a black outline, you wouldn't even know I was there. I'm not even in the rainbow. I'm only used to color snow or to fill in empty space between the other things, and it leaves me feeling, well, empty. We need to talk. Your empty friend, White Crayon, says White Cat in the Snow by Duncan.
That's depressing.
Hi, Duncan. I hate being used to draw the outline of things that are colored in by other crayons, all of which think they're brighter than me. It's not fair when you use me to draw a nice beach ball, then fill in the colors of the beach ball with all the other crayons. How about a black beach ball sometime? Is that too much to ask? Your friend, Black Crayon, was like pleading. Please. Okay. Dear Duncan, I'm Green Crayon. I'm writing for 2 reasons. One is to say that I like my workload for crocodiles, trees, dinosaurs, and frogs. I have no problem, and I wish to congratulate you on your very successful coloring things green career so far. The second reason I write is for my friends, Yellow Crayon and Orange Crayon, who are no longer speaking to each other. Both crayons are feeling they should be the color of the sun. Please settle this soon because they're driving the rest of us crazy. Your happy friend, Green Crayon. Oh, there they are. Dear Duncan, Yellow Crayon here. I need you to tell Orange Crayon that I am the color of the sun. I would tell him, but we are no longer speaking. And I can prove I'm the color of the sun too. Last Tuesday, you used me to color the sun in your Happy Farm coloring book. In case you've forgotten, it's the page 7. You can't miss me. I'm the shining down brightly on the field of yellow corn, your pal, and the true color of the sun, Yellow Crayon. And there's Orange. Dear Duncan, I feel Yellow Crayon already talked to you. The big whiner. Anyway, can you please tell Mr. Tattletale that he is not the color of the sun? I would, but we're no longer speaking. We both know I am clearly the color of the sun because on Thursday you used me to color the sun on both the Monkey Island and the Meet the Zookeeper pages in your Day at the Zoo coloring book. Orange, aren't you glad I'm here? Your pal, and the real color of the sun, the Orange Crayon.
I think orange is the color.
Okay. Well, poor Duncan just wanted to color, and of course he wanted his crayons to be happy, and that gave him an idea. See? There's all the letters he opened. See all the letters he opened? When Duncan showed his teacher his new picture, she gave him an A for coloring. See, he used all the crayons. And an A+ for creativity.
Yay!
The end.
Thanks, Cynthia. And now we'll sing the children out, and they'll go back to the RE room with Brianna. Carrie and Gary have agreed to do the offering, and we will sing from the White Open Your Heart songbook that I don't actually have up here, page 25. Thank you for your loving hand.
Thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gift you bring into the world each day. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember us who love you well. We know the gifts you bring into the world each day. So thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart,
And now in your program, we have a shared reading that we will read in unison by Reverend A. Powell Davies, who is a minister of All Souls for 20 years or so, very well-known Unitarian Universalist minister, Unitarian at that time. We meet each other as friends and neighbors anywhere and everywhere, but we seldom do so in the consciousness of our soul's deepest yearnings. Life must have its sacred moments and its holy places. We need the unutterable communion of our spirits with the spirit of the highest, all that joins the soul with what it yearns for, all that can raise the frailty of our incomplete humanity toward the level of the Spirit's aspirations, that our earthly dust may meet and mingle with the majesty and the mystery of God. And now please take your blue hymnal, and we stand as we are willing and able and join in singing number 349, We Gather Together, traditionally a Thanksgiving hymn, but I thought it was pretty appropriate for an in-gathering service. Welcome back, or welcome here. Welcome to the familiar candle and wood scent of this sanctuary. Welcome back to the sound of the wind in the rafters during meditation. Welcome back to Cheryl's and Judy's and Mackenzie's glorious music. And of course, welcome back to each other. Many of us in our familiar rows, all of us glad to see the faces of those we have missed over the summer, and to see new faces. This morning, I'm going to talk about why we are here, why we gather. Why am I here again? Why are you? Why do we stick around? I vividly remember the moment when I decided to return to church. It was on Christmas Eve, around 1999. In those days, as a working mom, I often tried to grab my exercise in the evening after the kids were in bed, even on Christmas Eve. On that particular night, I left the sleeping kids to Bill, bundled up, and headed out under the bright stars. As I approached downtown, I noticed the full parking lots around the cathedral and the Presbyterian church. Then, heading down on Lawrence, I passed a full parking lot by the Methodist sanctuary and heard the strains of familiar holiday hymns. And I said to myself, this is the last Christmas season that I will spend without a church. Some might say that God called me back to church. Others might comment that with Ellie reaching the age of 7, I finally had enough spaces in my day to consider it an intentional community. I only know that I missed what I remembered of my childhood church. Sunlight on stained glass, the smell of candles, the sound of the old hymns, and a community of people who talked about values and meaning, a place for funerals and pancake breakfasts, and a place to dress up in a cranberry choir robe and sing. UU Reverend Paul Oakley speaks of his decision to return to church. I had lots of ways I could participate with others through politics, legal action, cultural events, social activities, and yet what I'd been missing for 20 years was a sense of belonging, or the type of community that I'd known in church as a child and as a young adult. The sense that I was with my people, even when we voted differently, when we disagreed over the decisions of our board and of the national organization. It had been 20 years since I'd last set foot in a Unitarian Universalist church, but something pulled me back. Back then, at the turn of the century, our local UUs met in a small circle of chairs at the Waterford, now known as Touchmark. I wasn't attracted to a discussion group under fluorescent lights. I wanted a larger community with engaging music. My in-laws were attending Plymouth Congregational, and I thought, well, close enough. But after a couple years of translating the scripture in my head, I became increasingly uncomfortable. It wasn't until the new members ceremony that I realized I shouldn't be joining. Somehow I'd missed that I'd be asked to recite Plymouth's creedal statement. I'd missed something big. Whoops. Much to my in-laws' dismay, my daughter Ellie and I left for the Waterford. So here I am, and here we are. Over the years at BSUU, I've often been amused to learn that my worship preferences can be so different from yours. Your favorite hymn might be Spirit of Life. Mine is We Would Be One. You look forward to the closing circle. I escape to the quiet of the narthex. Because of our variety of personal preferences, I believe that we are now fortunate to be lay-led. There are, of course, many benefits of having a professional UU minister. As I reviewed submissions on Quora and Reddit to figure out what draws people to UU and what causes them to depart, sometimes after 20 or 30 years, I noticed that many have left because of a change in minister. The former minister emphasized Christianity and ritual. The new minister focused on social justice. The former minister had warm social skills and made the people feel seen and heard. They considered the new minister to be too cold and cerebral. At Big Sky UU, we used about 30 different leaders last year from both within and without our little community. Next week, we're fortunate to host a visiting professional UU minister. We have a smorgasbord. According to our Big Sky UU bylaws statement of purpose, we unite to create and maintain a fellowship dedicated to freedom of religious thought, a continuing search for truth, mutual respect for human relationships, and care and concern for our planet. As a free congregation, we covenant to affirm and promote the 7 principles. For those of you who are new to UU, 1985 7 principles represent deeply held values of our faith. They're listed in the front of our hymnal, along with many of the sources of our faith. The UUA website is a great place to learn about the other elements of the framework of Unitarian Universalism, the 5 smooth stones and jagged rocks, and the recently introduced shared values. Reverend Oakley reminds his community that they maintain their liberal religious community through worship, study, service, and fellowship. Worship, study, service, and fellowship. His words remind me of a long ago message by Linda Saul, which we were unable to track down, about creating a balance in worship services between the primarily intellectual, those focused on social action, those that support fellowship, and those that provide a transcendent experience. We can all conjure up memories of each of those types of messages. I remember the astrophysicist who talked about stardust, intellectual, transcendent. Jean's energetic service that inspired one of Judy's songs, Love Points the Way, fellowship, social justice. And Valerie, Sarah, Marianne, Paul, and more telling stories of international service work, social justice, intellect, transcendence, fellowship, service, head, spirit, heart, hands. One of my family members said, oh yeah, just like 4-H, except you replace spirit with health, or you place health with spirit. We may prefer different orientations in worship, but of course every service is a blend. We don't provide service to others without a commitment to fellowship. Our shared space holds our fellowship during transcendent music and meditation. As an anonymous UU chaplain wrote on Reddit, quote, I'd invite you to consider that historically, the spiritual has always been connected to the political and the social. After all, the ministries of Jesus, the Buddha, and Muhammad all came out of resistance to harmful social policies, especially ones that disproportionately harmed vulnerable populations. Unitarian Universalism lists among its sources words and deeds of prophetic people which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. She continues with, spirituality isn't about regular attendance in a house of worship. In my mind, this is her, there are 4 main components of spiritual health: community, purpose, enthusiasm, serenity. Community, purpose, enthusiasm, serenity. If a religious congregation isn't nourishing your spirit, and you can't shift the balance through participation and leadership, it may be time to move on. At BSUU, there are about 30 of us who have stayed for at least 5 or 10 years. 30 very familiar faces. As those of you oldies know, most of the people who walk through our doors don't stay. Some move, some die, and many find that what our lay fellowship has to offer doesn't meet their needs. That's okay. One aspect of the UU faith is that we are not coercive. We do not have to attend church services to achieve salvation in an afterlife. Many of us believe that the only heaven we will know is the heaven here on earth. As Georgia recently commented, we are a community of attraction. So if we're not forced to stay, why do we? It can be hard to pull our hearts and hands away from the competing pulls of our beautiful Montana fall, our non-UU friends and family, our community projects, the World Wide Web, especially when we all have different worship preferences and sometimes deal with the inevitable conflicts of moving forward as a non-hierarchical group. UU Reverend Fred Hammond comments, I hope that the words and meditations I offer are encouraging and perhaps challenging, but my words or thoughts should not be the primary draw. Neither should the rituals, music, and readings. Here at this church, Hammond says, we each have something to offer one another. It may be a listening ear to someone who's been alone all week. It might be a hug for someone who needs human contact. It might be a joke for those of us who are feeling overwhelmed by the bad news of the day. Hammond reminds us that though we may be tempted to skip services on topics which don't attract us, we cannot minister to one another if we are not here. UU Reverend Beth Dana goes beyond the concept of church as a place of ministry and refers to it as a place of practice, a place where we engage in practices that help us live in this world as it is, while also building the world that we wished it to be. Practice. One of my friends reported that he stopped going to church because he was sick of all the decision-making and conflict. I responded, part of the reason I've stayed in my church community is to practice my communication and conflict resolution skills, to give beyond what I sometimes feel like giving, to stretch myself in service creation and leadership. What a great place to practice. Reverend Priya Parker elaborates, we gather to solve problems we can't solve on our own. We gather to celebrate, to mourn, to mark transitions. We gather to learn how to make good decisions. We gather because we need one another. We gather to show strength. We gather to honor and acknowledge other communities. The operative word in her statements is we, not I. The Reverend Rob Eller Isaacs used to tell a story about a retreat that he facilitated for the board of a UU fellowship. He asked the members, in what ways does church involvement foster transformation in your life? After an awkward period of silence, one of the board members said, well, I've never thought of our church as a place where people change their lives. It's always been a liberal refuge for community connections, cultural enrichment, and opportunities for learning. After another awkward silence, Reverend Eller Isaacs shared that he had a different understanding of the church. Quote, the church is not primarily about building community, though community is built. The church is not primarily about making friends, though friends are made. The church is not even primarily about alleviating suffering, though suffering may well be relieved. He said, we are meant to be communities of accountability in which both the world and we ourselves are changed for the better. In other words, Eller Isaacs was saying that community and friends and alleviation of suffering are fruits of a different purpose for which we come together. We don't come together so that things can stay the same. We come together to make a difference and to cause growth in ourselves and others. In conclusion, I want to describe two contrasting images of what it means to gather in religious community. You know those metal carousels that are used in restaurants so that the cooks can see the orders? It's like a spinning metal thing. And the wait person takes the order, clips it to the carousel, and the carousel spins around. Imagine that carousel spinning so fast that all you see is a blur of orders. Each diner wants their order just right. Worship preferences in UU fellowships can resemble the orders on that carousel. Some of us say, well, I like the messages to include certain ingredients, or worship must include this special sauce, or I have an allergy to these particular words, or I like my theology over easy, not too direct, or I want an extra helping of social justice, or I want a side order of social justice, not an entree. Being in a religious community with diverse preferences does not mean that we try to mimic our on-demand world. I like to think of our church community as more of a mobile, a hanging work of art, in which the pieces seem to be free-floating in space, but are actually connected by fishing line and often wood struts. In this case, it's a fly swatter. Changing or removing just one part of the mobile causes the rest of the mobile to swing through changes in position to accommodate the initial change, like a family. A shift in one component causes the responding shifts in the related components, a practice of adjustment. My friend Anne, who made this mobile, explained to me that when you make a mobile, you're best to build it from the bottom up. The weight distribution of the lower parts directly influences the stability of the upper. So what's the foundation of Big Sky UU? What's our center of gravity? I will return to the 4 dimensions of spirituality. The head would be our bylaws, providing a simple and solid structure. The heart would be our ministry to each other, listening with a kind heart, approaching conflict with curiosity, and committing to showing up. Our hands would be the physical work that we do to support our facility and the larger communities, and our spirit is that undefinable energy that shows up when we're together here at services, singing, joining in readings, or listening to the wind in the rafters. We may not always enjoy every member of the fellowship. As they say in Al-Anon, I may not like you, but I love you. We can care deeply for each other while separating ourselves emotionally from each other's problematic behavior, giving enough space and grace for differing perspectives to be heard and for finding that our connections with each other matter more than our opinions. As Reverend Parker says, church is a place where you get to practice what it means to be human. As we gather, let's create a space where growth is possible. And I put the dinger someplace. Oh. Now please join me in a few minutes of meditation, after which we will share reflections on the message. Any reflections, Gemma?
Becky, my gratitude for your ministry is boundless. I was elated to get out of bed this morning and come and listen to you speak. And I really don't have anything else to add. Thank you so much.
So glad to be with you in fellowship.
Oh my goodness. Well, for those of you that don't know me, because there are some new people here, that's Gemma, and I'm Nikki. Yeah, I was elated to get out of bed today too. I second everything Gemma said, and I wanted to share with all of you. Well, first of all, you just really you just slapped me in the face with my own words. In both ways, my own words of many years saying how come everybody isn't coming to every single service? It's Sunday, you just come to church. It doesn't matter who's speaking. It doesn't matter, you just come, right? And then this morning, I told my friend Joe, I read the email because I wanted to make sure who was speaking, because I don't come if there's gonna be God talk. You did, and I actually read the word God in the reading. You'd be proud of me. So I told Joe, I decided last year that I'm going to make sure that I'm not coming when there's going to be God talk. What an idiot. So, and where for years and years I said, why everybody just come? It's Sunday. If you're sick, I understand. But other than that, what's your reason for not coming to church? This is our community. We need to have you. We all need to be here. So thank you for that. I will be here every Sunday, unless I am ill or my child is ill. And then the other thing I just wanted to also emphasize, when I came back after being gone for 2.5, 3 years, the first service I came back to was one where there had been a new agreement that we were going to instill, and it kind of faded away, but one of the things was that if we were in conflict with each other, that we would approach it with creativity, and you said that.
It's in our covenantal statement.
Yeah, so something. It's somewhere, and I was overjoyed by that. I thought it was beautiful. And I've also been looking around, and I'm missing so many people. I miss so many people that used to come. And so I hope that if you are in conflict with someone that used to come to our fellowship, I hope that you will reach out to them with curiosity and maybe hopefully mend that relationship. Because like Becky said, we don't have to like each other, but we do love each other. And thank you.
I'm Georgia, and thank you, Becky. That was a wonderful message. So ditto everything Gemma said. But it's funny because I was on the same path as Nikki of about showing up. And so we put in the announcements what the title is going to be and a little synopsis of what the next service is going to be about. And there's a part of me that also said I can pick and choose. And at some point came to it is about community. And I think COVID really showed us that church is not a building, church is the people. And so I usually walk away from any service with some nugget that I can apply to my life. And I want to show up for the people that are here, the people that take the time, which is usually hours, to put together a message. And thankfully, we have a mid-morning service time, which really helps me get out, because I'm not a morning person. And it also, if there's times I just don't feel like coming, it's really helpful for me to do things that I don't wanna. It's a good exercise. So I'm here most Sundays, and I will continue to be, and I hope you all will be.
Marianne.
Thank you. I am so grateful for the new worship committee. You guys sound dynamic, you've got lots of ideas, and I don't have to do anything. I'm so thrilled. I just get to take it all in, which is a gift. Yeah, it won't be hard for me, Tom.
And we are so grateful for your years of service. Anybody else? Carrie.
Hi, I'm Carrie, and I had the privilege of being raised at U, but going to many Universalist churches before they merged, and then Unitarian Universalist churches, and some non-denominational churches overseas. And I think the only thing I missed, because at various times, I'm one of those 30-year plus people here, we contemplated trying to share a minister, what would we do to be that type of organization rather than lay-led. And each time I had the fortunate experience of traveling back to some of my older churches or the Annapolis church where friends from this congregation moved to. And I have to say, at the completion, I don't think I missed, and I even went to Old Souls in New York. I don't think I ever felt as wonderful as I did after your service today. There's a big difference in our lay-led services. It's wonderful. I think the only thing we miss, and I've said this before, is we miss having I'm going to call it minister, that leadership being the congregation caring. So sometimes when you have a problem, you really don't want to go to a friend, and having that minister to you is something we probably miss. But I think that is and we do a fine job amongst each other. But sometimes that you would want somebody, let's say, that isn't your own friend person. That's probably the only thing I think I've ever missed in all those years. And I lost family here. I lost my parents in this congregation, lost my husband in the congregation in Virginia. So I've certainly experienced that side of the ministry. And I'd say really, truly, we are so blessed to have so many fine people here. And I bless you for your last organization and obviously for yours today.
Thanks, Carrie. I will add that at the time I was at Plymouth and growing up, I called on ministers to provide deep counseling in a way a therapist would. And it was extremely valuable. And when my father-in-law died, it was the minister who brought the family together and facilitated a very difficult conversation I was not at. And so I do think it is really valuable to have a minister, and I long for a combination of lay leadership and ministerial. Just want to throw that out.
I just wanted to thank you for bringing the word practice into this. I remember that every day of my growing up in my parents' home, we attended church on Sunday mornings. It was a practice. And I still call myself a latent Lutheran, because even though I can't state the creed with good conscience, or the creeds, I should say, but I feel like I am, in so many ways, still a Lutheran girl who put on my choir robes and sat in the church and listened to the woman singing across the way, and my mother was sitting beside me mocking her. And there were just things about doing that every Sunday that they were a practice of being with each other. And I feel like that's why I come to church on Sundays. It's my practice. So thanks for bringing that word.
Okay, I think we're gonna, one more, Catherine, and then we'll move on.
Hi, I'm Catherine. This is just a quick thing. Becky, you mentioned the shared values, and I noticed you looked on the screen, and I realized that I had shut them off. So they are now back on the screen for everyone to see.
Yeah. And you were wise to shut them off, because the projector battery wears out, I think, but okay. Okay, I have too much paper on here, but I have a reading somewhere in the paper. All that we share is sacred. There it is. Okay. This is a reading by Reverend Andre Mall. The blessing was written in honor of two Unitarians, Martha and Waite Still Sharp, who during World War II dared to risk their own comfort in order to help save the lives of those in desperate need. As we gather together, may we remember, when you share with me what is most important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. That is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. May this table be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. And now Judy's going to lead us in singing her wonderful piece, Will You Join Me on This Journey? You all have the lyrics either in a 8.5 by 11 or on one side of a half sheet in your program.
Will you join me on this journey? It gives me strength to take your hand. The road is long. Sometimes I'm weary. Will you take my hand? We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me on this journey? How I need to hear your voice. So many times I can't find the words. Will you sing to me with your lovely voice? We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice roll on down to the sea,
providing a way so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me? On this journey, it lightens my heart when I see you smile. Sometimes I am discouraged. Will you look my way and smile? We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me? On this journey, I want you there beside me. There are times when I will lose my way. But you, my friend, you will guide me. We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, we'll send love. We'll send love on this journey. On this journey, we'll send love. We'll send love on this journey. On this journey, we'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey.
Thanks, Judy and Cheryl. Okay, now please join me in reading our extinguishing of the chalice. And Carrie, could you please extinguish? At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.